Hello everyone and welcome back to Star Wars Archives. Today's video is going to be a review and a breakdown of the brand new Bad Batch episode Part 8 of Season 3. Now today's episode wasn't my favourite, and I'd probably go as far to say it's my least favourite of the season. I feel like all the plot lines we followed kind of just didn't really amount to anything, or at least amount to anything in this episode. I'm sure they'll be finished off by the end of the season, but it's probably the first episode that's really felt like just filler for the season. But like I say, if all the plot points hit by the end of the season, then I'm sure it will be worth it. So our episode starts off on Pabu, where the Bad Batch get a receiving transmission from Phee. Now, to be honest, as soon as I saw Phee show up, I had a good feeling this was going to be a filler episode. But she informs the Batch that the Empire have Class 1 bounty hunters retrieving M-count targets for them. Now, although they still don't know what M-count means, Phee lets them know that a bounty hunter may be able to give them a better perspective on it. This is where Omega suggests that they go to Fennec to find out some answers. But because of the history with Fennec, only Hunter and Wrecker go to see her, whereas Omega and Crosshair stay behind. We also get Hunter talking to Omega and telling her to try help Crosshair fix his hand. As they meet Fennec in a bar, Fennec tells them that she hasn't actually done a job hunting down an M-count target, but she does know someone who has. And the Batch agree to help her with a bounty so they can get this information off her. The bounty is for an alien called Xyla. Fennec tells us that Xyla got greedy and took out a couple of the top bosses for the Haxion Brood. Now, if you don't know, the Haxion Brood are actually a crime organisation from the Jedi Fallen Order game. They're the organisation who capture you in the first game and proceed to send out bounty hunters for you throughout the rest of it. Which is a nice reference to the games, and it's always good to get references from outer media in these shows. Now back to Omega and Crosshair on Pabu, where AZ is actually taking a look at Crosshair's hand. AZ informs Crosshair that his hand may never actually heal, and his issue may be stemming from mental issues, from psychological trauma that he experienced on Mount Tantiss. After not liking this idea though, Crosshair storms off. Then we see Hunter, Wrecker and Fennec dropping out of hyperspace at this new swamp planet that we've never seen before. When there, they have to talk to this pit droid to hire a boat. This boat allows them to go downstream and find Xyla. Whilst going down this river, they realise the whole area has been booby-trapped by bombs, so Fennec sends Hunter and Wrecker down to disarm them. Whilst disarming these bombs, they basically get attacked by crocodiles, but after Wrecker basically uses some WWE moves and wrestles them away, they manage to escape downstream. When they get to the end of the river, they reach Xyla's hideout, where they choose to cut the lights and decide to sneak up to it. Hunter enters his shack whilst Wrecker stays outside and Fennec goes on Overwatch, but whilst Hunter's inside, Xyla drops down from the ceiling and attacks him. Xyla actually almost gets the better of Hunter, but Wrecker steps in, forcing Xyla to flee underground. Xyla also then proceeds to get the better of Fennec, kicking her into the water. But after all three of them team up to stun him, he finally gets captured. Next we cut back to Omega and Crosshair, where Omega's actually trying to fix Crosshair's hand psychologically. She's doing this through meditating, which is something I didn't expect, but she actually called back to a previous episode where she said she picked this up from Gungi. Now Gungi, if anyone doesn't remember, is the Wookiee Padawan we saw in the Clone Wars, who we later saw in the last season of the Bad Batch. We then get a beautiful shot of them looking out over the sunrise whilst they meditate, which to be honest I think is probably what Crosshair needs. I don't think he's probably had a chance to actually sit down and relax since he was born. You know, these clones, they fought throughout the entirety of the Clone Wars, and then in Crosshair's case, went straight into the Empire, where you definitely don't get a rest at all. Now, this final scene is where I think we get the most important information of the episode. After telling the Bad Batch that Fennec doesn't actually have the info right now, but she can get it, she then proceeds to go onto a holo call, where she talks to someone. Now, the episode presents this out to be some sort of mysterious character, obviously blurring the voice and not showing us who it is. Now, in my eyes, whenever Star Wars does that, it means it's a big character or a character that we actually know and they're trying to hide their identity. And in this case, I believe it's Asajj Ventress. We obviously saw her earlier on in the Clone Wars, where she'd become a bounty hunter. Now, I don't believe she's actually hunting Jedi, as this episode suggests. We see in the book Dark Disciple that she actually almost goes back to the light as she meets Quinlan Vos, who I also believe will see Quinlan Vos later on in the season. I believe she's actually still working with Quinlan, and she's using the information from these bounties to track down Jedi and help them escape throughout the hidden path, which we saw in Obi-Wan Kenobi and Jedi Survivor. Now, I'm hoping this will all be revealed next week, but we are getting down to the latter end of the season now, so it has to be soon, and it's going to be very exciting stuff. Now, like I said, it wasn't the most interesting episode, and it's definitely one of the worst episodes we've had this season, but that scene at the end we get there definitely brings us towards some bigger and better things. So thank you all for watching. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, and check out my TikTok in the description, and may the Force be with you. Goodbye.